let us see what you need to do to get logs from CloudWatch into QRadar. First of all, there are other introductory videos that shows CloudWatch, CloudTrail, all the nomenclature, all the lingo around AWS. But also, what is the advantage of doing CloudWatch? Well, the idea is that you can, instead of having a bucket here, another bucket here, a region there and there, what you can do is that you can create something in AWS called log group. And you can actually consolidate all the CloudTrail, S3 buckets, all those logs into a single log group. So you don't have to be, creating multiple instances of CloudTrail, S3 buckets and stuff. You do only one log group, and that consolidate all those entities. So the video has two parts. One is the stuff you need to do in Amazon Web Services console to, first of all, get the log group creation and all the logs that have been put there. And just in case, hopefully this video is good enough to so you don't have to read this documentation, but I wanted to show it to you in case that you need to go back to it. And the second part is to do the setup in QRadar to retrieve those logs that are put into that log group on the cloud, to bring it into QRadar to correlate with additional things that happen on premise. So the first step is to create that log group. And to do that, you go to CloudWatch. You go here under logs. Come on, Amazon. Oh, here it is. You go under logs, and you need to actually, I already created one, but you will click on created log group, and let me show you the one that I put. I put the names. The names are a little, looks like a giraffe neck here. Very long names. So the log group is called, that I put, is CloudTrail log group to QRadar. And I put all lowercase and without spaces because Amazon is pretty picky about the characters and spacing and all that. So that's, remember, that's going to be the log group that you need to create first. In here, in my system, you see that today is the 13th, so I'm already getting events because I finished the configuration. In your case, you may not have this until you've finished configure this well. Next, you need to go to Identity Management section, and you need to create a policy. So we go here under Policies, and I already had mine created, but what you will do is that you will click here on Create Policy, and you would add the policy in the one that gives you access to the log is obviously called CloudWatch, well, not obviously, but CloudWatch logs read-only access. So you select this one and you create it, so you have this policy, and notice that I already used that. Next, you need to create a role. The role I created, so this is the role I created, CloudTrail CloudWatch read-only access. I mean, you will click on create role if, the first time that you are going here, and you are going to attach the policy that you just created before, CloudWatch log read-only access. So you have click here, attach the policy, select the policy you created, and you're good. Allow me to give you a little bit of details because I already created the role, so you will not see it. When you create a role, you need to actually assign that role to another AWS account, because you're not doing this role for the user ID that you are using to enter into your AWS portal. You want to give these to the QRadar. You're going to assign this role to the QRadar ID that is going to be used to retrieve the logs. So that's why you need to click here on add an AWS. And the account ID is that name that is under your, whatever is your account. So you click here under your account and you selected it from here. Okay. Now I could have hidden this ID, but anyway, it shows on the URL all over the place. And again, I hope I have secured this test account, and maybe I'll delete the test account when I'm done with these videos to avoid any exposure. After you have put the account ID, you need to click next to go under the permissions. And you're going to attach that policy you created shortly before. It's called CloudWatch logs read-only access, this one over here. So you select that and click next, and you give it a name. So I'm going to cancel this because as I said before, I already created mine, which is this one over here. That's the name I gave to the role, CloudWatch read-only access. Now there's an important step. If you just omit this step, you're going to be, when you configure later your logs in QRadar, you're going to get a QRadar access denied because the user ID that you are going to use for this, in my case, in the previous video, I created this QRadar user ID, needs to be attached to that particular policy. How do you do that? So as you see, I already add the permission. As you can see here, CloudWatch log read-only access. But the way you do that, you click here under Add Permissions. You click here on Attach Existing Policies Directly. And then you look for that policy, that CloudWatch read-only access. I do not see it in this section because I already assigned it. So that's why the look ahead doesn't find it. But this is the one that you will need to add, okay, to avoid the QRadar access denied when you try to retrieve the logs from QRadar. So next, you want to go into services, go on the CloudTrail, because remember, we want to bring all the logs from the S3 buckets and everything else that we have in CloudTrail also into this log group. Come on, Amazon. Okay. In the previous video, I show how I created my trail, which is this one over here. And you need to assign it to this log group that you created before. Remember, the CloudTrail log group to QRadar. So I don't do it in here because I already did it, but that's what you need to add. You need to click here and add that. It's an important, very important step here, that you need to have, the select S3 buckets into your account. Otherwise, you will not be getting those logs, and you will be getting a strange error message that reads something like unable to validate rule policy or something like that. So make sure that you have all those check marks selected. If not, you go under edit and you actually select those. You click continue, allowed, and you are good. One thing that you may consider obvious, but I want to say it just in case that some of the viewers are really new to identity management, is that whenever you are dealing with the user, you may need to provide the user's secret keys, okay? In here on their security credentials. When you add the permission, you need to go here into security credentials, and it will ask you to put the key. When you created the user, it gives you the opportunity only once to do copy paste or export in the CSV file the user ID and the password that you need to very safely keep. If you didn't copy it at that time, like I forgot to do it, I used it in the video, but then I didn't save it. Then you can actually make it inactive and create another one. So no big deal. As you see, I have two here. Once you've done that, you're almost done with the AWS part. All you need to do is go under CloudWatch, look for the logs, and you should be getting logs entries for the day that you are in. Remember, these things may take a couple of minutes. I mean, nothing here is real time, but you see that I'm getting my logs in here. Now the task is, well, we need to bring those into QRadar for QRadar to actually parse it and to get the rules and all the good stuff that QRadar will do, detecting attacks happening on the cloud and correlating those attacks happening on the cloud with anything else that might be happening on-prem. Now, if you run auto updates, you should be able to actually, when you add a particular log source, you can go here under Amazon, and under Amazon CloudTrail, you should have this option for this protocol in here. If you do not have that, you need to actually go to Fix Central and download two pieces that you need. One is the protocol for the web services protocol, and another one is the actual DSM for CloudTrail. You need these two pieces. And again, this is for 7.3. If you have a previous version, you need to watch your version and all that. And you actually need to, do FileZilla or something to put those into the QRadar machine, and you need to retrieve. You need to actually install them. In case you're not aware, I'm going to share a trick that my friend Sophie showed me, is that when you have all these protocols and DSMs and stuff, that they have some dependency. You need to install one first and then the other. So instead of doing all the guessing of what goes first, you do the yum-y install, and then you put the name of the two components, and the yum installer will figure those dependencies up, and you get your DSM and your protocol deploy. Because it is a protocol, it's always a good idea, at least I like to do that, is to do deploy full configuration. I believe that with 7.3.1 you don't have to do deploy the full configuration, just the standard deploy changes. But I did it anyway. Now you're ready to add your DSM finally. So let me actually show you how I did mine. Let me actually sort them by creation date. And here is one. So I'm going to go step by step on the, you keep whatever name you think is appropriate, the description. The type is AWS CloudTrail. The protocol is web services. That's a protocol you install. You put that whatever identifier you want to put. Now on the authentication method, these are the keys that I refer to for the QRadar user ID that is being used to retrieve those credentials. So you need to keep those. That's the access key, and that's the long password. You select the region. In my case was US East 1. This is by default. The services, the AWS services is CloudWatch, so there's no any other option in here. The log group, you need to put that log group that you created in the previous section. Very easy. First time you run this, remember you need to put here yes. That's the only time you need to put here yes. And then the first time the certificate will be automatically retrieved. You do save, and then you have to deploy the changes. After you've done that, and again, you may need to wait a couple of minutes here and there, you get your combined logs from AWS unified into that log group from CloudWatch.